Welcome class. Welcome to this lecture on the principles of inclusion and exclusion. The principle of inclusion and exclusion essentially talks about the cardinalities of combined sets. Before we jump into the principle of inclusion and exclusion, let's have a quick recap of some basic concepts that are related to sets that will be used in explaining this concept. Let's begin with the very basic concept. What is a set? We have defined the set to be a unordered well-defined collection of objects. We say that this is a unordered collection of objects because the ordering of the elements in a set does not matter. We usually define designate sets by using capital letters like S, A, B, C, D or whatever. The second basic concept that will be used over here is the concept of cardinality. We know that the cardinality of a set S, that is designated either like this or by this, is the number of elements in the set S. One important thing, the repetition of the elements within the set S does not make a difference over here. Say for example, if I define the set S as 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, 2, then the cardinality of this set S will still be 4, as there are only 4 unique elements: 1, 2, 3 and 4. The repetition of ones, how many times it may occur, repetition of 2, repetition of 3 does not make a difference. Then the set operations will be used over here. We know that the various set operations are, we have the union operation, right? It basically says A union B is the set of all the elements, right? It is the set of all the elements, or rather let's call it X, such that X belongs to A or X belongs to B. That means the union is the set of all the elements which are present either in the set A or B or both. Then we have the intersection operation. We say that A intersection B is the set of all the elements X such that X belongs to A and X belongs to B. So that means it is the set of all the elements which are present in both A and B. Then we have the difference operation. Difference operation basically says A minus B is the set of all the elements X such that X belongs to A and X does not belong to B. So it is the set of all the elements which are present in A but not in B. Another basic idea that will be used over here is for understanding the principle of inclusion and exclusion, and in order to solve the questions in an easy way, we use the concept of Venn diagrams. Right? You remember Venn diagrams were used to represent the set operations. They are used to understand the set operations in an easy manner, in a graphical manner. But the Venn diagrams, we normally represent the sets by circles. Right? So let's now jump into the principle of inclusion and exclusion. So basically what principle of inclusion and exclusion is trying to do, it is trying to find out the cardinality of union. What it says is, suppose we are given two sets A and B. Suppose I have two sets, one is the set A and one is the set B. There are some number of elements in A and some number of elements in the set B. And now I ask you, what will be the cardinality? You know that there are some numbers of elements in the set A. This is called the cardinality of A. There are certain number of elements in the set B. That is called the cardinality of B. Now what if I ask you, what is the cardinality of A union B? Right? So obviously, what is A union B? A union B is the set of all the elements which are present either in A or B or both. Now there are two possibilities. The first possibility is that A and B do not have any do not have any element in common, or in other words, they are disjoint sets. The first possibility can be, let us say this is, let us say M, and this is, let us say N. The first possibility says that the M elements that are making up the set A and the N elements that are making up the set B are all different elements. So in that case, what will be the cardinality of the cardinality of union will be m plus n, right? So this is the maximum value of the cardinality that can have. So the maximum cardinality that the union can have is the cardinality of A plus cardinality of B. But that is the maximum value. Why is it the maximum value? Because if there are certain elements which are present in both A as well as in set, which are present in both set A and set B, obviously they will be counted only once, right? So the cardinality of the A union B, the cardinality of A union B will be less than or equal to cardinality of A plus cardinality of B. Now let us try to find out what will be the cardinality of A union B, right? The best way to do it is to think of the two sets with the help of a Venn diagram, right? If I simply take A union B, if I take all the elements of A union B, let's draw a line over here, right? If I take all the elements, if I take the cardinality of A and cardinality of B and I simply add the two cardinalities, now this region which is the elements of A which are not present in B, so essentially this is the element A minus B, so these elements will be counted once. Similarly, these are the elements which again will be counted once. These are the elements B minus A which are present in B but not in A. But what about these elements? These are the elements which are present both in A as well as B, so they will be counted twice. These numbers actually represents how many times the particular subset is being counted. So this subset, this elements, see, this portion of the set elements, right, coming from here to here, this will be counted once. Similarly, this portion, this will be counted once, but this portion will be counted twice, once with A and once with B. So how do I find the accurate, how do I accurately find the cardinality of A union B? What I'll have to do is I'll have to count this portion once, and this portion also once. So what do? We take A plus B, right? A plus B means 1 and 1, and this is counted twice. And what is this region? This is the region of A intersection B. So what do? We take the cardinality of A, we add the cardinality of B, and we subtract from it the cardinality of A intersection B. Means we take this region once, we take this region once, and actually this region is being counted twice, and then we subtract this region once. So this becomes 1. So now I have the accurate or exact cardinality of A union B, right? So this expression that I have obtained is called the principle of inclusion. Inclusion means I include both the cardinalities of A and B, and then I exclude the cardinality of A intersection B. That's why this is called a principle of inclusion and exclusion. So now I have the expression as the cardinality of A union B is equal to cardinality of A plus cardinality of B minus cardinality of A intersection B, right? So this is called the principle of inclusion and exclusion. As I said, inclusion because I include both the cardinalities of A and B, and exclusion because I exclude the cardinality of intersection operation. Now this can be extended to 3 sets also. Say for example, I have 3 sets A, B and C, right? If I add simply the cardinalities of all the 3 sets, now these are the elements which will be counted once and once. So these are the elements which are present only in A, not in B, not in C. These are the elements which are present only in B, not in A, not in C. These are the elements which are present only in C, not in A or not in B. But these are the elements which are present in A and B both but not in C. These are the elements which are present in A and C but not in B. These are the elements which are present in B and C but not in A. And these are the elements which are present in all the 3 sets A, B and C. Now, applying the same logic, if I simply say the cardinality of if I simply take the cardinality of A, cardinality of B, cardinality of C, and then I subtract the cardinality of A intersection B, means the elements which are common in A and B, and again subtract the elements which are common in A and C, and once again I subtract the elements which are common in B and C. So what happens is, these are counted once, these are counted once, these are counted once, these are counted once, but unfortunately these elements, they will be completely excluded. Why? Because these elements, they are coming under, if I simply take A minus B, sorry, A intersection B, then these elements will be there. If I take B intersection C, these elements will be there. If I take A intersection C, then also these elements will be there. So these elements will not be counted even once. So what I'll have to do is, I will have to add these elements. Now what are these elements? These are the elements which are being represented by A intersection B intersection C. So these are the elements which are present in all the three sets. So how do I find the cardinality of A union B union C? This is the cardinality of A plus cardinality of B plus cardinality of C. Then minus cardinality of A intersection B. I am removing those elements which are present in A and B both. I am removing the elements, excluding the elements which are present in A and C both. I am excluding the elements which are present in B and C both. But then again, I'll have to include the elements which are present in all the three sets. So this is the expression for principle of inclusion exclusion for three sets, right? So this is the expression. The cardinality of A union B union C is cardinality of A plus cardinality of B plus cardinality of C minus cardinality of A intersection B minus cardinality of A intersection C minus cardinality of B intersection C, and then we'll have to add the cardinality of A intersection B intersection C, right? So now, in order to understand the concept even better, we will look at 2, 3, 4 examples, right? Let us see certain examples of application of this principle of inclusion and exclusion. And this is just a simple graphical representation of the same concept that we have seen. This is the cardinality. These are the elements belonging only to A, only to B, only to C, A and B both, A and C both, B and C both, and these are the elements which are present in all the three sets, right? Now let us see certain examples. Let's first take a very simple example. It says, in a discrete mathematics class, every student is a major in computer science or mathematics or both, right? So I have students which are major in computer science, then which may be major in mathematics, or which may be majoring in both, right? What do we mean by saying that which major? They are having certain electives, they are having certain specific subjects. The number of subjects having computer science as a major is 25. The number of students having mathematics as a major is 13. And the number of students majoring in both computer science and mathematics is 8. Right? So let's see. If suppose if I say let us call it A and let us call it B. So now the question tells me that the cardinality, the A is the set of students having computer science as the major, and says that the cardinality of A has been given to me as 25. So there are 25 people which are having computer science as a major. Please understand, I am not saying that they are having only computer science. There might be certain students which are having computer science as well as mathematics as their major. That is given in A intersection B. So, but the number of elements, number of students which have computer science as their major is 25. Number of students who have mathematics as their major is 13. Once again, this group may include certain elements which also have computer science. You see, we have been given or both. So there are students who have both the majors, and obviously in the question says, the question also gives us the number of these students, both computer science and mathematics. So this is what, this is the set of elements, the set of students which have both the measures. So A intersection B is 8. So I simply apply the principle of inclusion and exclusion. 25 plus 13 minus 8 is equal to 30. This gives me the strength of the entire class. A union B. This is the strength of the class. Let's see another example. How many integers are there from 1 to 1000 which are either multiples of 3 or multiples of 5? Right? Once again, I'll define certain sets. A, let us say set of all the integers from 1 to 1000 that are multiples of 3. Let us say the set B is set of all the integers from 1 to 1000 that are multiple of 5. And A union B, the set of all integers that are multiple of either 3 or 5. Numbers like 15, 45, 30. These are the multiples of both 3 and 5. Right? Set of all the integers, sorry, the set of all integer multiples of either 3 or 5. That means 3 will be there, 5 will be there, 6 will be there, 10 will be there, 9 will be there, and so on, which are either divisible by 3 or divisible by 5 or divisible by both, right? 12, 15, and so on. Whereas A intersection B, it is the set of all the elements, set of all the integers which are multiple of both 3 and 5. That means, for example, 15, 30, 45, and so on. Right? Okay. Now, we have to find out how many elements are there, how many integers are there, which are either multiples of 3 or multiples of 5. So, I have to find out the cardinality of A union B. Right? Now, I know that from 1 to 1000, every third integer will be a multiple of 3. So, that means 3, 6, 9, and so on, up to 999. So, the cardinality of the set A, the number of integers which will be divisible by 3, is 333. Similarly, the number of integers which will be divisible by 5 is 200. Why? Because the integers will be 5, 10, 15, 20. Every fifth integer is divisible by 5. So, up to 1000, how many integers will be there? 1000 divided by 5, that is 200. Right? Then, we have to find out number of multiples of 15. See, the numbers which are divisible both by 3 and 5 are 15, 30, 45, 60, and so on. They are all multiples of 15. So, every 15th element is divisible by 15. So, the number of such elements will be 66. So, this is A intersection B. Now, simply applying the principle of inclusion and exclusion, the A union B is equal to cardinality of A plus cardinality of B minus cardinality of A intersection B. So, this cardinality of A, that means number of integers which are divisible by 3 is 333. Number of integers which is divisible by 5 is 200. Number of integers which is divisible by both 3 and 5. In other words, the number of integers that is divisible by both, divisible by 15 is 66. You calculate it, you get 467. That is the answer. See another example. Here I'll be using 3 sets. In a class of students undergoing a computer course, the following are observed. Out of a total of 50 students, 30 know Pascal, 18 know Fortran, and 26 know COBOL. Right? So, let us say, if I say Fortran, the set of Pascal has a cardinality of 30. The set of the Fortran set has a cardinality of 18, and the set of COBOL has a cardinality of 9. Right? Please understand, there might be students in the Pascal group which also know Fortran, which also know COBOL. There can be students in Fortran group which know COBOL or Pascal or even both. Right? See over here, even the question says Pascal and COBOL. Pascal and COBOL. Sorry. Pascal and COBOL is known by 16 people. Fortran and COBOL is known by 8 people. and 47 know at least one of the three languages. Right? Now you have to find out how many students know none of these languages and how many students know all three languages. Right? Let's see this question. We know that 47 students know at least one of the three languages in the class of 50. That is given in the question. The number of students who do not know any of the three languages is obviously 50 minus 47. See, there is this class of 50 people, and out of 50, 47 people know at least one of the three languages. So how many people do not know any language? So that is 50 minus 47, that is equal to 3. Right? So in the class of 50, 47 people know at least one language and 3 people know none of the languages. So let us say A is the set of all the students who know Pascal, B is the set of all the students who know COBOL, C is the set of all the students who know Fortran. So A union B union C, A union B union C, A B union C minus this. Right? So we have been given B union C is equal to 8, sorry, B intersection C is equal to 8 people who know. See, what does it indicate? A is Pascal, B is COBOL, C is Fortran, right? Let's write it over here. A is Pascal, B is COBOL, and C is Fortran, right? So this is the number of students who know both COBOL and Fortran, right? This is given in the question itself. You know what? Let's check it again once again. It simply says 9 know both Pascal and Fortran, 16 know both Pascal and COBOL, and 8 know both Fortran and COBOL, right? So that is given over here. 8 people know COBOL and Fortran, 9 people know Pascal and COBOL, and 16 people know A and C, Pascal and Fortran. And I know that A union B union C is 50. So what I'll do is I'll simply use the formula. 47 people I know, that is a total, that is the people who know one of the three languages, at least one of the three languages. So this plus this plus this minus this minus this minus this, and this time I have to find out this value. This time I have not been given this value. So I'll find out. In this particular question, we do not have to find the cardinality of the union. We have to find out the cardinality of people who know all the three languages. So the number of people who know all the three languages is A intersection B intersection C. The number of people who are present in this set as well as this set as well as this set, indicated by this region in the Venn diagram. So the number of people who know all the three languages is 6. Let's see a slightly bigger example. This looks bigger, but this example is quite simple. It simply says in a town of 10,000 families. Sorry, unit 10. It was found that 40% of the families buy newspaper A, 20% families buy newspaper B, 10% families buy newspaper C, 5% family buy newspaper A and B, 3% buy B and C, and 4% buys A and C, and 2% buy all the newspapers. See, everything is given over here. See, essentially what is shown over here is the cardinality of set A is equal to 40%. 40% means 40% of 10,000. Cardinality of B has been given as 20%. Cardinality of C has been given as 10%. Cardinality of A and B is given as 5%. Cardinality of B and C has been given as 3%. Cardinality of A and C has been given as 4%. And 2% is the cardinality of A intersection B intersection C. That is 2%. So for applying the principle of inclusion and exclusion for three sets, I must have A union B union C. The principle says A plus B plus C minus A intersection B minus A intersection C minus B intersection C plus A intersection B intersection C. So everything is given over here, right? So now I have to find out number of families which buy all the three newspaper, number of families which buy only newspaper A, number of families which buy only newspaper B. Please remember, when I say A, it might include certain people who are buying B also. So that is given over here. 40% people are buying newspaper A, but out of that 40%, there are 5% people who buy both A and B. So now I have to find out the people who buy only the newspaper A, and so on. So these are the 12 things that you have to calculate. It might look a bit difficult, but if you see at the Venn diagram and if you apply the principle of inclusion and exclusion, this can be solved very easily. Let's see, right? So this is a Venn diagram representation of the question. It simply says A 40%, B 20%, C 10%, then 2%, 2%, 1%, 3%, 5%. This is simply the representation. So number of people who buy all the three newspapers. Number of people who buy all the three newspapers, that means the cardinality of A union B union C. Simply apply the principle of inclusion and exclusion with these values that we have identified, right? So we apply them over here. So I get 40 plus 20 plus 10 minus 5 minus 3 minus 4 plus 2, that gives me 60%. So 60% people exactly buy the buy all the three newspapers. Now I have to find out number of families which buy newspaper A only, right? Now if you make this Venn diagram, then this type of question become very easy, right? Now I know that 40% people, 40%, let's do one thing. Let's write the values once again over here. A 40%, 2010, B is 20%, C is 10%, AB is 5%, A intersection B is 5%, BC is 3, AC 4, BC is 3, AC is 4, and all three, A intersection B intersection C, is equal to 2%, right? This is what is given. Now see over here, A is having 40%, the share of A is 40%, share of B is 20%, share of C is 10%, right? That means this 40% is this entire circle, this circle, right? Similarly, B, the 20% is this circle, and for C, the 10% is this circle, this complete circle. Now out of this, I have been given there are 2% which are buying all the three newspapers. Then 5% are buying A and B both, right? So essentially what it means is, please pay attention, this region, A and B both, this region, let's do one thing. Let me change the color of the pen so that it will become much easier for you to understand. Right? So this region, this complete region is 40%, and this region, I'll just give you one example, because after giving one example this will have so much markings that it will become difficult, but this region is 5%. Out of this 5%, this portion which is actually, with this portion is actually the A intersection B intersection C. This is 2%, so that leaves 3% over here, right? 3% over here, 2% over here. Similarly, I have been given B intersection C is 3%. So B intersection C is 3%. 3% means, if I say B intersection C, this region. This 3% means it is this region, this region, right? So this region is 3%, but once again, out of this 3%, 2% is being used by this value, this region. So what it leaves is 1%. So this 1% is the region which is covered by B or C, but not by B and C both, right? Similarly, if I talk about A and C, I have 4%, but this 4% is actually this region. But out of this region, once again, this middle region is 2%. So this leaves us 2% over here. Now see, if I want to find out the number of families which are buying only newspaper A, only newspaper A. So this was a total of 40% was being 40% people were buying newspaper A. 3% people are buying A or B, only A or B. See, let me write it over here. Only A or B we have calculated as 3%. Only A or C we have calculated as 2%. Only B or C we have calculated as 1%. And A and B and C we have been given as 2%. Right? So now if I want to calculate the number of families who buy only A, the number of families who buy only A. So this gives me 40% is the share of A, and this 7, where does this 7 come from? This is 3% which the A or B buyers take, 2% A or C buyers, and 2% is A, B and C buyers. So this is 3 plus 2 plus 2, 7. So 40 is the total, and this 7% is the people who are buying A but are also buying some other newspaper. 3% are buying B also, 2% are buying C also, and 2% are buying A, B and C. So 3 plus 2 plus 2 is 7. So 40 minus 7, 33% is the share of people who are buying only the newspaper A. Similarly, the number of families who are buying only newspaper B. So the share of the newspaper B was 20%, right? So 20, and then I take A or B as 3%, B or C as 1%, and A, B and C as 2%. So 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 6. That gives me 6 over here. 20 minus 6, 14%. These are the number of people who are buying only newspaper B. Similarly, the families which are buying only newspaper C is 5%. Right? Then number of families who buy none of A, B and C. Right? So who do not buy any of the newspaper. See, I have found out number of families who buy all the newspapers is 60. Right? So number of families who do not buy any of the newspapers will be obviously 100% minus 60%, that is 40%. Number of families who buy exactly one newspaper. We have just calculated number of people who are buying only A as 33%, number of people who are only buying only B as 14%, number of people who are buying only C as 5%. So who are buying only one newspaper is 33 plus 14 plus 5, that is 52%. Number of families who buy newspaper A and B only, we have already calculated that. A or B 3%, A or C 2%, B or C 1%, A, B and C 2%. This is all we have already calculated. So number of families who buy A or B 3%, B or C 1%, C or A 2%. Number of families who buy at least 2 newspapers. So at least 2 newspapers means it will have to encompass this 3%, A or B, this 2%, A or C, this 1%, B or C, and this 2%, which is A and B and C. So you get 3 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2, that is equal to 8%. Number of families who buy at most 2 newspapers, right? So that will come as 98%. And number of families, see, 90 at most 2 newspapers means 0 newspaper, 1 newspaper, or 2 newspaper. So I leave it for you to calculate number of families who buy exactly 2 newspapers, right? So this will be 3 plus 1 plus 2. Now this 3 was this 2% was all the 3 newspapers, A and B and C. So we do not take it over here. So I get 3 plus 1 plus 2. This is A and B. This was, I believe, 1% was BC. BC, this was AC. So this is 3 plus 1 plus 2, that is 6%. Right? I'm leaving this one for you to check on your own. Let me see how many of you are able to understand how this 98% is coming. Right? At most 2 newspapers. What do we mean by at most 2 newspapers? At most 2 newspapers means the number of families which are buying 0 newspapers, number of families which are buying 1 newspaper, number of families which are buying 2 newspapers. Right? So, चलिए बता देता हूँ. See, I know that 2% families are buying all the 3 newspapers. 2% families are buying all the 3 newspapers. So what will be the number of families who are buying at most 2? So that will be 100 minus 2. So 100% families, then I exclude the families which are buying 3 newspapers. So I'll get families which are buying 0 newspapers, family which are buying 1 newspaper, or family which are buying 2 newspapers. So that is 100 minus 2, that is 98%. Okay. So this was about the principle of inclusion and exclusion. You get a lot of MCQs in competitive exams also from this principle of inclusion and exclusion. So I suggest you practice it well. Right? If there are any difficulties, we will discuss it in the next discussion session, or we will talk about it in the, you can post a problem in the discussion forum where I will respond back to it. Right? Till the next lecture. Thank you.